started farming as early as I could, and I was probably about 3, and I'd dig up part of the yard so I could plant my wheat, and then I dug up some more of the ground and I'd plant my hay grazer, and I took some little sweet or old broken shanks off an old 9N Ford that my dad had, and that's what I'd use to plow with. And I thought, well, I was always wanting to try to build stuff, so I tried to rig up 2 of them together, and I was so proud when I got 2 shanks built, but then I didn't have enough horsepower to pull them, so I had to go back to using the one shank to plow my ground. But
what were you using to pull them?
Myself. I was pulling them. And I didn't have enough horsepower. I wasn't big enough.
I was just making sure you didn't have it attached to your tricycle.
No. So then when it would rain, well, I'd have to go check my crops, and I'd take my tricycle out there and it'd get stuck. And so I got me some baling wire, and I went around the front tire with that baling wire, and I made me some chains on that tricycle so I could get through the mud. And it'd make my dad so mad whenever he'd come in there and see those 3 ruts going through the yard, and he'd ask me, why in the world didn't you just walk out there and look at it? And I said, well, I had to go out and check my crops. You know, he'd always do that, and then he'd get stuck and he'd have to get pulled out or whatever. And so he was not happy with me for rutting up the yard, but I lived through it and he lived through it. So.
Growing up, my dad farmed over in Groom, and he farmed his old home place. He and his brother had a 50-50 partnership, and of course they built that up over the years. But when the kids came along, there's 5 of us, and I'm the youngest of 5. There's 2 girls. The girls weren't allowed to go to the farm. That was for the boys to do. But my dad also had a couple of businesses in Groom. One was the meat market, and the other was the hardware. And so when they needed help at those businesses, well, my sister and I, we were able to work at those businesses, but not at the farm. So I didn't grow up on the farm. We lived in town, and didn't get to go out there unless we were taking meals to the fields during harvest or something like that. And I went with my dad some, but I didn't know anything about farming. And so I really didn't learn anything about farming until I married Robert. And he's the one who taught me how to drive the equipment and to do, and we do it together. We try not to hire anything done. Now, occasionally you have to hire an airplane or, whatever, but we try to do everything ourselves. Spraying, plowing, planting, harvesting. We do let the elevators bring the trucks to the field so that because we don't have personnel to run trucks, combine, and grain cart. So that works really nice for our operation.
And y'all work well together? You hadn't killed each other yet?
No. Everyone that sees us, we just had lunch with somebody yesterday, and he said, I think y'all are just meant for each other. Y'all don't ever fight. You just work so good together. And I was like, yeah, we do. But, yeah, we don't have any problems.
She sets the plow. We talk on the radio when we're both plowing. We stay in the same field. And that way, if one of us has trouble, she can run whatever's still running, and I'll go work on whatever's broke. And she'll call me, and we move to a different field. She says, well, it might be slivering a little too much, and she'll jump out and adjust it. Last summer, we were plowing. It was about 110 degrees outside, and she waited till it was 110, and she called me. She says, I got a bearing out on my picker. And most people wouldn't even check the bearings in the pickers. They would wait till the picker fell off, and then, oh, I got a problem. So she ran to the house, and she knows where all the parts, she organizes all our parts. She grabbed the extra bearing for the pickers, and she ran my tractor while I got out in 110, and I got changed pretty quick when it was that cold or warm out there. But
a lot we do together, like that corn conversion. I mean, we did that together. We do a lot together.
Yeah.
But when it's go time, somebody's got to be going.
First crop was in 11, but we first when we planted.
Yeah, we
but
planted it, but it was right in the
dry
middle of
year.
the drought. That was not a good time to start. But where we really wrapped our minds around it was in 17. That was our first crop where we had the equipment. We were all in.
And my
Vested, so to speak.
father-in-law told me when we hit some 2.9 bale cotton that was beginner's luck. We'd never ever reach it again. And so far to this date, he's been right. We're going to beat it this year.
Every year we plant 4 bale cotton.
On dryland.
But we never gotten it. But we still plant.
Said you can't outgive the Lord. You know, you can tithe all you want, but no matter how much you give him, he'll give you back tenfold.
Mm.